Hey friends, it's Jem with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me for part 2 of my Halloween memories through the years, or October daily-ish adjacent stories. Stick around. Hey friends, I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here. I am back and excited to share with you part 2 of my Halloweenish, October-ish, fall-ish album of memories through the years. And I'm going to get started with this page, which does take a while off camera, but I sped up quite a bit and I did edit out some of it moving forward, just so you're aware. Also, whenever I do stamping, I speed things up to about 8 times the original speed. Otherwise, it's at 4 times, just in case you're curious. So I have found some papers from Simple Stories that I purchased probably like 5, 6, 7 years ago, way back when we had, no, longer than that, because we haven't had a Tuesday morning here in years. So I think since like Nora was a baby, they, shut down. So very sad. But a lot of these items that are like in my stash are from Tuesday morning. So I was like, oh, I found this paper pack. Let me use it while I'm impatiently waiting for my scrapbook.com order to get here. So that's what we're working with. And I'm going to do some more die cutting. So first I'm going to use my Big Shot to cut out the words COVID fall. And then I also have these banner dies that I've never used from Heidi Swaps. So I am going to use the orange and the black paper and cut those out, and I will be back in a YouTube sec. So really that took me like, I don't know, at least a half an hour to die cut and like put all of the dies on, and maybe not a half hour, but it took a little while. It was a bit tedious, but again, I'm trying to play with all the things and get creative. So that is why I love doing these little scrappy projects here and there. And so I'm just going to alternate. Like I use the black paper to spell out COVID and then the orange to spell out fall. And I'm going to use the contrasting little paper outlined, which is definitely like a intricate little thing to work with. So if you don't get a clean cut when you use your Big Shot, then like you do what I did, which is go back in with scissors and trim it out of the paper, because sometimes it just doesn't go all the way through. I probably need some new cutting boards, but anywho, I'm going to use that as the title to represent the picture on the bottom left, and then there's a full-size photo that's going to go to the right of this page. So this, now we're in 2020, hence the title. And this picture is a selfie of us on a wagon ride at the pumpkin patch. And I just decided once I get the title all put up there and I can decorate with all the banners, that I'm going to add a little like self-made banner using some of the pattern papers, and add in a label sticker that I have in this ancient, again, another Tuesday morning purchase like decades ago, to write a little bit of the journaling that just talks about how it was a fall day and we went to Liberty Ridge Farms, which is a little like farm near us with a giant corn maze and all the fall things that you can think of. Off camera, I ended up also stitching around this pumpkin that says, "Hey there, pumpkin." It was one of the pieces of pattern paper cut-aparts in the Simple Stories paper book that I found, and I just had a lot of fun stitching that off camera using some of my embroidery thread. I am going to trim a little bit off the top and the bottom of the card, just because I thought it was a little bit too, I don't know why. I just felt like it was too symmetrical for whatever reason. I don't know, guys. So I'm going to fill in that little space up above the card with this banner. I feel like, I don't know, not just too symmetrical, but also too like rectangular, too many sharp edges. So I wanted to bring in just a little bit, something a little bit different. So now I'm going to use this to make that banner I was talking about, that like tag that's going to go on the top left. And I'm going to go through all of my puffy stickers here and there and pull out some that I think make cute little accents. I've got some little leaves. Those are from a very old Paper Person Shop sticker sheet. I've got some pumpkins, and I've got some ghosties. And the pumpkins and ghosts and bats are from like the greeting card section at like Target. You can probably still find something very similar if you're interested. I'm also going to pull out my green foam alpha stickers and number stickers. They are from Citrus Twist. They were a clearance deal a couple years ago, and I have them in several colors, and they're just the perfect little size to add a little something. I wanted to put the date. To me, the dates are very important when I'm documenting, because otherwise, you know, it's like what was happening, what was the year, what was even the month. So I put 1023 above our selfie on the hayride, and then on the right side, I'm going to make a little tag cluster. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but when I do, one of the last little like details I'm going to add is the year on top of it. So what I did is kind of went through my stash and found a bunch of like Halloween or fall themed stickers that I thought would work for these pages, as well as some things in my stash that are the right color, or colors that I think that I will use while I'm working on these pages, such as like this bright green, orange, purple, yellow, black, you know, kind of traditional Halloween colors, if you will. So yeah, I'm just gonna like pick through these stickers and see what speaks to me and what I like to put where, and audition them and put them in different places. One of the things that I wasn't planning on doing that I really enjoyed with this page and the way it turned out is the top right. I wasn't sure what was going to go there, but I knew I wanted to cut out a bunch of banner pieces with the pattern paper that I had die cut before. So I just did that while I was die cutting out the COVID fall. I just made a whole bunch of little banner pieces with the orange and black paper, because I knew I was going to create some sort of banner like cluster on the full-size photo. I didn't know that I was going to have enough left over and want to do another one on the page I'm currently working on right now. And so that's what I'm going to do in that top right corner, is create like a really fun little cluster of banners. And I love the added texture and color. I also decided to make this little tag cluster. I had this orange and like yellow stripe tag, and then I used some of that same scrap paper in the green with the Eek Boo writing on it, and made that into a tag, and found the Eat, Drink, and Be Scary. And then I found an orange eyelet and just used my crocodile to make a little eyelet to kind of corral all the tags together with some baker's twine. Then I'm going to use my Zig clean color dot, or not clean color dot, Zig two-way glue pen, sorry, to add glue on the back of all these itty bitty die cuts. And this pen is really like the best way for me, as far as I've found, to add adhesive to very teeny tiny little pieces of paper. So if you know of something that's even better, let me know. But so far I have this pen, and I really love how it's been working for me. I probably should get another one. Okay, so now you're just going to see me play around with those banners, like I said, and just sort of layer them over and on top of each other. There's no rhyme or reason. I just kind of wanted to create movement. Like I have that cluster on the top right, so I'm like, oh, well, the bottom left has some sort of like just empty space. It doesn't necessarily need to be there. So let me use the forefront of the picture to kind of add this little banner cluster. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to go back into that super old sticker book and pull out a label sticker that I can journal on. So I wrote that this was our first fall fun event with our new-ish church family, because we had just started attending the church we're a part of now. At this event, this time this picture was taken, it was our pastor's house, actually her old house, and we just all got together because, again, you know, still trying to be cautious, wearing masks, being outside, and so it was COVID fall, and so we decorated pumpkins outside and got to know a bunch of the people at our church, some who are still there and some who are not. So really, really glad to have that documented in this album. And I love that you can see Nora and Abby. Now, I don't know if you follow me, but if you have been for a while, then you know of Abby, because she appears in a lot of our Project Life spreads, as she is Nora's good friend. And so I think they're kind of at the age, sadly, where they're growing apart a little bit, just because their interests are so different, but they'll probably always be friends of some sort. How could they not be, right? I mean, they've known each other forever, plus I'm best friends with her mom. So that is little teeny tiny baby Abby and Nora when they were in first grade. I think it's first grade. Yeah, right? Is that first grade or kindergarten? You know what? I think that's kindergarten. Oh my gosh, it is. Nora wasn't even 5 yet. She's like 4, almost 5 in this picture, because her birthday is at the end of November. So this picture is from October 25th. While I was rambling, you saw me auditioning some different labels that I thought I might use, and settled on this one. I liked the black, which I was surprised. I thought I would want green or orange, but I liked the neutral black label. And then I just added a few puffy stickers here and there and wrote the date on top of the tag. Again, dates being an important thing for me. And you know, I had to add some pom-pom trim to the edge. That's just my favorite way to finish off a page like this. So I'm now adding that cluster that I mentioned that I didn't know I was going to even add anything in this spot. Just because I had the leftover pieces and I figured why not? Even though they're two separate events, I do like to have my pages when they're facing each other or next to each other to have the same colors on them, just because I think it's easier on the eyes. It kind of bothers me when they're like totally different. So even though they're two separate events I'm scrapbooking, they both happened within the same year, in the same month, and you know, I think it works for both of the occasions that I'm trying to document. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the back side of this full-size photo, and there's another full-size photo to work on. Oh, and I apologize before we move on to that. I did forget to video where I added the 2020, but I'm sure you know that I just took stickers and tweezer stickers and put them on the label. No big deal. All right, so the back now is a full page photo. Also, I think this is also 2020. I have it on the journaling that's tucked in there. Yes, 10/25/2020. It was Halloween. At the time, we were not in public school. I was homeschooling. Shortly thereafter, I think in the spring is when I decided Nora needed to go to public school or we were not going to survive the pandemic together. And, you know, best intentions were laid, but they did not fully see themselves to fruition. It's fine. She loves public school and I love working there. So I did the journaling already. I knew I wanted to tuck it behind this photo somehow, and I decided to put the little bat, well, it's a big bat, the die cut bat on the top to kind of act as the tab and hide this card. So I stamped out Pod Squad, which is what we called our little pod. During the pandemic, we found a bunch of, actually there were only a handful of families where we were all committed to just being safe, making sure we got tested and, you know, stayed safe, stayed away from others, wore masks, you know, all that kind of stuff. And we decided to do life together, homeschooling together, and getting together like once a week or twice a week, depending, outside always, and to do something that was like educational. This was the first time we were inside doing like a Halloween party. At this point, I think, yeah, everybody was healthy. Nobody was concerned. So we decided to do a Halloween party, and Nora was Belle, and that's her little friend. And it's so funny because this little boy, he was in love with Nora at this age, and she was not at all having it, but she's like, I just want to be his friend. And I was like, that's good, Nora, because you're 4. But it was just so interesting doing homeschool kindergarten and pod squatting with all of these little families, and you know, just so glad that I was able to document this and have this like forever, because what a crazy experience it was to be a part of all of that. You know, I just remember like, you know, I came up with all the lessons, and I would do the majority of like the teaching part of getting together with our little pod squad. A lot of the things we did were like outside hikes and stuff like that, apple picking and, oops, sorry, I just dropped something. Things that weren't necessarily like, we're doing an experiment or a lesson, but we're just kind of all trying to get our kids to be somewhat social. I do credit doing Pod Squad early on as part of the reason why she doesn't have as much social anxiety as some other children that do around her age and who were experiencing COVID in that way at that time. So I was thankful to have some sense of normalcy for her, even though it was definitely not normal for me. So yeah, keeping this photo very simple. All I did was add that little tucked in journaling, stamped Pod Squad, and then put a few little pieces of like candy on there, colored them in with a Tombow marker. And then I used this wood veneer piece that says Happy Halloween. I glued that to the front of the picture. And then on the right, I decided I wanted to have this like rotating photo because it's the same costume. Just one of the pictures is Nora like trying on the costume when she first got it from the Disney store. And she was just wearing it around the house because she just dress up was her favorite thing to do. And so were Disney princesses when she was, gosh, from the time she was like 2 up until I want to say like 7, 8. And so she was Belle here, which is my favorite princess, by the way. So I took 2 pieces of vellum and I adhered them together, and I cut out the middle around this photo, or I should say these photos of Nora. And I just used some like sewing string, just white thread, to I stuck it between the two pictures, and then I stapled it to the vellum, and the picture just, they rotate back and forth. You can see it at the end there when I show you how it all looks. I should also mention, I'm going to take that. I did add that twine, but I didn't like the ribbon, or not twine, ribbon, and I didn't like it. So I went back to my good old baker's twine. I have so many different colors of baker's twine. I think it was just like a pack I got at Michael's. And I decided to add that to the top instead. I don't know, I didn't like that white ribbon. It looked too much like a present or something to me. It just didn't go very well. So I'm going to just use that instead. And then I'm going to work on the little rotating picture frame, if you will. That's kind of what it is. And it's really not perfect. It's actually a little bit janky, but I'm going to leave it as is. Just the execution of it could have been better, but I didn't really measure around the photo that I wanted to create the frame for, so I just used my X-Acto knife and just sort of trimmed around the picture. So it's very imperfect and janky, but I mean, you know, it is what it is. I achieved the effect that I wanted, which basically was just that I wanted the picture of like her before Halloween trying on her costume and just like being around the house, and then flipping it over and being able to see her right before we went out to go trick-or-treating. So in the picture that flips over, it's her with like makeup on, and she has like a sweater and like a faux fur scarf just to keep her a little bit warm, and she's got her hair up kind of like Belle. She wanted to have her hair up with a ribbon instead of wear the tiara to go trick-or-treating, so I was like, that's fine. So I just love that it's like kind of a before and after situation with the rotating photo. I did add a little chipboard piece that says Happy Halloween on the picture of her on actual Halloween with the shawl around her neck. And then the last thing I do once I get the picture in place is go back to that old sticker book and pull out a gold foiled label sticker just to put on the top. All I wrote was that Nora had to try on the costume days before. I didn't think it needed too much journaling since, you know, it's sort of obvious, and I have the chipboard piece that says Happy Halloween, so that, you know that that's her on Halloween and her in her costume a couple days before. And again, you know, that is the whole reason I wanted to have this sort of rotating feature, because of that, this type of story that I'm telling. I will later on, like after I'm done filming, add a little tab to the outside edge of this quote-unquote vellum frame, using one of the tabs that came with the Halloween kit last year. It just says So Cute, and I attached it with my tiny attacher. Next, I'm going to work on another vellum page, which is going to go on the opposite side of this photo. I was challenged. I was very challenged because I knew I didn't want another picture. I wanted the focus to be on this flippable rotating picture. So I had this gold dotted vellum in my stash, and I have these old die cuts, not old, but they're die cuts from a different storyteller kit this year. So they're literally from this year. They're not old, I'm lying. And I use that kind of to hold, like take up space, I guess, and just add a title. So I have Happy Halloween in the vellum with the gold foiling, and I'm going to attach that to that big black and white die cut shape, and then I added a few black and gold puffy stickers around the vellum, and that is literally it. Super simple placeholder page, if you will. I also chose to use this big die cut shape because I knew I had 4 of them left. I think it's from the Fun Storyteller Kit. I think it was the first Storyteller Kit of the quarter for 2025. Anyhow, on the back, I knew I was going to use that same shape to not cover up, but like kind of mirror where it is on the front. And then I wanted to do my journaling for the story that's going to be to the right of it on that big shape. So you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second once I stop being OCD and just lay the stinking star stickers down. I know you know. Okay, so on the back side of this, like I said, it's the journaling for this full-size photo grid I made in the Diptyque app of our own little family trip to Liberty Ridge Farms, which was a tradition we were doing every year. So since she was 3, so this would be her 2nd year, I guess, going third, I don't know. And this is now 2021, so I'm starting 2021 stories in this video as well. So I just wanted to stamp some sentiments on a label sticker that I had in my stash from Studio Calico, playing with the green, playing off of the green that's around that die cut shape, and found these like scalloped sticker labels. So I figured I'd stamp fall favorites and just put that in the white space above the picture, the selfie of Nora and I at the farm. And then the top two photos are like right before you go, well, the top photos before you go into the corn maze. And then there's two different sides to it. There's like a really scary haunted one, and then there's like a regular one. And there are lots of different like clue sheets you can get. And in the picture on the top right, you can see Nora's reading from the clue sheet, and she chose like the farm animals one, but there's different themes. Like there's like sports, music, pop culture, math, like all different types of ones. And basically what you do is you read the clue when you get to the little pumpkin marker, which in the picture we're at number 9, and you read the clue for that pumpkin marker, and if you get the, whatever answer you decide is the correct answer, tells you a direction. So you want to get all the answers right and know what the trivia, be familiar with that type of trivia so that you don't get lost. So hopefully that makes sense, but it's really cute. It's a really fun idea. And so we did that for lots of years. So that is what is happening in that picture. And then the rest are just kind of, my husband and I in the cornfield, and then Nora found a ladybug landed on her, and she was very excited. So it's one of my favorite pictures of all time of her, like her little sweet angel face looking at the ladybug on her hand. So then I decided, I'm going to stamp a little bit on this die cut just to bring in a little bit of something something. So I stamped Autumn Moments, Stories from this Season, and Crisp and Cool. Then I added a couple little tiny leaves, and I colored them with a green Tombow, again, wanting to bring in some of that like darker green. And I used it to write the date, which was October 15th. And then I wrote, "We always look forward to all the fall fun. This year we were back to our pre-pandemic routines and went to Liberty Ridge Farms. We participate in only the, quote, non-spooky side of New York State's biggest corn maze. This year we chose to use the questions based on farm animals and facts. We also play on all the things. It was so much fun." Then I'm going to use those same foam alphas that I used to add the date in green on a couple pages before this, but use the black ones to put 2021. And I think the last thing that I do is add a chipboard that says, it's from my stash, it just says, "This part was amazing, so thankful," and just added that for a little something. Again, very, very simple spreads. Like these are not super complicated at all, but sometimes that's the way it is. Sometimes I go super complicated, and sometimes I just like it to be straightforward. So now I'm on the back side of that full page photo, and I have this paper that says Spooktacular, and I decided that's just going to be the filler for the left side of the spread. You can see to the top right in the screen there I have a page protector. I think this is my first page protector in this album, which is kind of surprising because usually I like to incorporate a little bit more page protector, but that's okay. And so it doesn't quite fit the full photo, so backside of the photo, so I'm going to try to fill in some of that space with this extra trim I have. It was from a big pack I got at Michael's. It's just this kind of cream trim, very pretty. And so I'm going to put that on there, as well as some green pom-pom trim. So I've got 2 different types. And I decide I need to add a little bit more, so I'm going to go add that to the other side of this Spooktacular quote. And because it still looks plain to me, I think I wish I had done some hand stitching on it. It just still looks so plain. Let me know if you have any ideas. I added some green reinforcer stickers around where the hole punches are going to, or where they are, I should say, just because it just still looked like naked to me. It's not my favorite, but it's just kind of a placeholder for, an opportunity for me to tell the next story, which is already kind of pre-selected in the page protectors here. So this is a new page protector I got from scrapbook.com, and it's a really cool configuration. I did get them for December Daily, but I wanted to give them a try. So I love them. It's 2 4x6s, and then it folds out, and there are 2 3x4 pockets, but obviously you can do front and back. So there's an opportunity for a lot more storytelling. And so I knew I wanted the top pocket to be left plain and make it into a shaker pocket. So what I ended up doing is I'm documenting Nora's first grade field trip now, and ironically, it was to Liberty Ridge Farms, which at this point Nora's been several times, and she's like, oh my gosh, I know what this is. And so I got to be a chaperone for it, which was pretty cool. And so I have a picture of the class before they are watching the pig races. Well, it's not the whole class. We split the class up into lots of different groups. So I think there's 2 or 3 groups of us there about to watch the pigs race. And then on the bottom, I have this vellum that says October Love. That's a very old vellum piece of paper, scrap piece of paper that I had left. And I have the story, that little journaling card is from the Fun Storyteller Kit. I have the October chipboard piece and the little ghosty. And I'm basically just going to add in some like extra embellishments here and there just for fun. So I've got like some vellum stars that I've had in my stash for a while that are like an orangish yellow. I don't even remember what Stories by the Month kit they're from. I've got some puffy ghosts and pumpkins, and I did end up also adding in a chipboard piece that says all the fall things on a picture of Nora climbing up the rope swing. And I just journaled about Nora's first field trip as a student at public school, and how the first graders were really excited to take the bus. They spent lots of time at the farm and had a great day all together. And so that's what all the pictures are from. And then just on the front photo of the kiddos in front of Spookily, the big inflatable pumpkin there. If you know about Spookily, let me know. He is a square pumpkin, and there's a whole movie now out about him, and there's books, and it's really cute. So that's like a classic kid story during Halloween times. And I just stamped October Delights on this orange label sticker and just put a little puffy pumpkin and called that good. So you can see now I've got all my little vellum stars. I'm using that same glue pen I talked about to just adhere a little bit on the edges of each of the stars. I didn't know I was going to bring these in. I kind of forgot about them. Like I had pulled them to the side for this part of the story, and then I was like, oh right, I forgot about them after I had already put down the other embellishments. So now I'm just kind of trying to figure out, sorry, loud truck or a motorcycle or something, figure out where I wanted to put them. So I put those on in different spots and layered them with a little puffy sticker. And on the journaling card, you can see I spelled out field trip using some green alpha stickers that are from Studio Calico. I don't think I've ever used this color before, so I'm using it now. And then I am going to make my little shaker pocket, which is so fun. So I have those sequins that I used earlier in this album. I think I did a shaker pocket. I did some in the first... Oh, I didn't do it on camera. I did it as my title, like my inside title page. So you can see I'm going to play with a bunch of different sequins that I have. I got them at Michael's. They were in like the seasonal section. And I'm using my little bead scooper tool, or I will, to get out a bunch of the sequins and dump them into the little pocket there. And while I'm doing this, I've got my fuse tool by American Crafts heating up so that I can fuse the plastic together and seal the pocket so that the little shaker sequins will stay inside. So there's like different pieces in there, right? There's like sequins, and then there's little clay beads, there's little pumpkins, ghosties, there's spider webs and spiders, and then there's like little tiny black plastic balls, there's stars. So it's really cute. I love it. And I made this little fun shaker pocket, and I like that you can see the picture through the shaker pocket. So we are almost finished here. This was not a super long process video, but like the real time of doing all these pages took me, I think, 2 full days worth of content. So like, I think I worked on this on a Friday for several hours and a Saturday. No, Thursday and Friday for several hours. So, that's a lot not filmed and or edited out. Okay, let me know if you have questions about anything. I know I went really quickly and I did edit out quite a bit, so definitely don't be shy and feel free to ask away in the comments, or you can always message me over on Instagram. So yeah, now this is going to be all set. I will definitely be back with another process video to document some more. I think I've got some more 2021 stories, and I probably will start working on 2022 in the next video. Here's a look at all the pages that I completed with you guys today, and I always do this in real time, so it's at, the regular camera speed. There's that attacher I added after the fact. You can see the tab on the corner or on the edge there of that frame. Thank you guys so much for watching this and spending your time with me. Honestly, I appreciate you being here more than you know. It's such a privilege to be able to share life with you. So if you did like this video and you like videos like this, give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss my content. And I look forward to seeing you back here for the next one. Take care, friends, and remember that you are enough. Bye.